everyone, this is Heaven and welcome to the Ultimate Guild Guides, the new series where we provide you with the ultimate tips, tricks, and insights on how to improve your play in the latest and most popular play-to-earn games. We'll be focusing on the very popular Axie Infinity, and you can expect more episodes on helping you play better in the game, as well as improving your MMR. For our first episode, we will be taking a look at some of the popular meta teams for the current season in Axie Infinity, and how you can make the most out of them. These tips are shared by our very own UGG coaches and players, and have helped many UGG scholars not just increase, but maintain their MMR. So, are you ready? Let's begin! First lineup is usually called AAP and is composed of 2 Aqua Axies and 1 Plant Axie by Coach Ross. You can also use a Dust type Axie in replacement of your plant if you have one. Our front line will be our Plant or Dust Axie with skills Goda, Cattail, Beach, and Sandals. Alternatively, the horn part, Beach, can also either be Caterpillars for higher shield and bigger damage. Between the Plant and Dust though, we prefer using Dust type Axie as it has faster speed, so you can dish out more attacks before the opponent gets their turn. For midline Aqua Axie, we're only looking at 2 very important skills, Nemo or Tail Slap to help us ramp energy, and Arco or Acrobatic for speed boost. And finally, for our backline, the Aqua Axie has skills like Koi, Blue Moon, and Cuckoo. For the 4th card, we are looking at 2 options, Lamp for Sustain or Piranha for dealing more damage. Our strategy for this lineup is to remove energy from the enemy during the first few rounds using Goda and control the early game. We can take advantage of our frontline Axie's Goda to break the enemy's energy while gaining more energy of our own using our midline Axie and finishing the job with our backliner. As we have Arco and Cuckoo in our arsenal, it will be easy for us to build both speed and damage, bursting down enemies and unleashing devastating attacks in the later rounds. This lineup works best against Double Bug Aqua, Double Anemone, and BPB team comps, which are also pretty common. Against Double Bug Aqua, the key is to shuffle our attacks by having a midline Aqua attack first, just to trigger or fish out the anesthetic bait effect if they have any. Since our frontline has Cattail, we can use that to draw more cards while tanking the damage, and prepare for more burst attacks in the next round. Usually, Double Bug Aqua teams come with a Pocky Aqua. We know that Pocky with a Double Bug attack modifier can dish out a lot of damage, but since our Aqua is naturally faster, we can easily set up our Kois to kill the Aqua in a one-on-one with our 120 damage cards. Against Double Anemone lineups, we also take advantage of our high damage output. But the real star of this matchup is our mid-Aqua with Scarab. The Double Anemone lineup is notorious for its survivability, but with the help of the Scarab, their main strength is rendered useless since they cannot heal under the Scarab's curse. BPB or Bird Plant Beast lineups are the simplest to go against, and we just have to make use of our strong frontline Plant or Dusk. Once our Plant Axie is down, it's relatively easy to take out the rest of the Axies in the enemy comp, as we still have our energy, speeds, and damage up cards for our midline and backline Axies that we can use. Given that it has its strengths, this lineup also has some weaknesses, specifically lineups that have the Reptile God build, because they can be very tanky in the Jumping Poison comp. Jumping Poison lineups can still be dealt with properly though, as we still have a lot of energy and burst cards to help sustain our damage output throughout the match. Our next featured lineup is called the God Reptile, and this set of tips will come from UGG Coach Bradley. This line will be composed of a Reptile backline, Mech or Aqua midline, and a Plant or Dusk frontline. For our Reptile Axie, it will be equipped with Kotaro for energy gain, Scaly Spoon, and Indian Star for damage reflect, and Tiny Dino for late game damage. Reptile Axies are slow compared to other backliners, but we can take advantage of it since using Kotaro against faster enemies helps us gain energy. Our midliner Aqua should have key skills like Arco and Nemo for speed more energy gain respectively. If you are going for a Mecha Axie, make sure that it has skills like Arco, Goda, Heroic Reward, and Hair Dagger. A pure damage mech that has dual blade, not combo, and Heroic Reward is fine as well. Now, our frontline plant or dusk Axie can follow the same set of skills as our first hybrid aqua lineup: Goda, Cattail, Beach, and Sandals, with another option being Caterpillars. Gaining the numbers advantage is the key to this lineup, and we will be using our mech or aqua midline to take out the enemy tank. Our dusk frontline will help us control the pace of the game through the use of Goda and deal extra damage to quickly take out the enemy tank as well. Getting to the late game means more damage, so once we kill the enemy tank, it's time for a reptile to use Kotaro for energy gains and ramp up energy for round 5. Once it's round 5, it's time to unleash the power of our tiny dino while using Bulwark and Tiny Catapult to defend and reflect damage. The great thing about God Reptile lineup is it works really well against any teams with squishy damage dealers such as birds and aquas, thanks to its high shield, class advantage, and reflect damage abilities. In terms of weaknesses though, falls victim easily to Axies with abilities like Numbing Decretion, which disables melee cards, or Spiky Wind, which applies the fragile effect increasing damage against shields. BBP lineups can do well against this lineup, and also the God Mech, which usually has Axies that can quickly burst down back lineups. Lineup 3 is the AAB lineup, and this next set of tips will come from Coach Earl. For this lineup, our Aqua Axies will have Angry Lamb or Goda for damage, Aquaponics and Aqua Vitality for healing, and Nemo for energy gain. Our Bird Axie will be equipped with Dark Swoop to take down the enemy backline, Blackmail to counter debuffs, and as well as All-Out Shot and Egg Bomb for more damage. When playing with this lineup, we'll usually skip the first round and save up for quick burst attacks in the later rounds. The most scary thing about this lineup is that it can easily kill the fastest Axie of our opponent, which is usually the most squishy. If nothing happened on round 1 and you manage to draw a Dark Swoop, Egg Bomb, and Blackmail, we can take out one of the opponent's Axie at round 2. Since our double Aqua has heals, it will be easy for us to sustain and survive in the later rounds, while still dealing damage against the enemy front and midliners. While this lineup does not have a tank, we can take advantage of the aroma effect from the Egg Bomb to lure or bait the enemy Axies into attacking our bird instead, saving our Aqua Axies for the later rounds. The AAB lineup goes extremely well against lineups that have beast backliners, double bug comps, and even jumping poison comps, since these lineups usually rely on chip damage instead of burst, which we can easily heal thanks to Aquaponics and Aqua Vitality. In terms of disadvantages though, the AAB lineup falls short on double plant lineups like BPP because they can be way too tanky, or lineups that have the Scarab. Remember, Aqua Axies deal 15% less damage against plant Axies, and plant Axies deal 15% more damage to Aqua, which can be hard to sustain even with heals. The next set of tips for our 4th meta lineup will also be shared by Coach Earl, and it will feature the Double Plant Bird Comp or BPP. For Axie skills, our frontline plant will have Vegetal Bite for energy steal, Bidance for shields and removing debuff, Hop Butt to prevent enemies' mouth cards, and Prickly Trap for additional damage. Our midline plant will have Numbing Decretion to disable enemy cards, Scaly Spoon to reflect enemy damage, and Bidance and Zigzag for additional shield and heals. For our backline, our Bird Axie will come with Hair Dagger, which will have us draw extra cards when we first attack, Egg Bomb, Blackmail, and Dark Swoop. As it is a very tanky lineup, your early game should be all about protecting your Bird Axie, which will be the main damage dealer, and use your Dark Swoop combo to quickly take out the fastest enemy, which is usually the main damage dealer. In case the enemy lineup has Beast Axie, we can take advantage of the Egg Bomb effect aroma and sacrifice our bird. If this happens, our midline plant will become the new damage dealer in the next round. But don't worry if you sacrifice your bird Axie, as our plant Axies are not only tanky enough, but can also both heal and even disable enemy cards. Timing and microplays are the big keys to this lineup, so knowing when to take advantage of your Dark Swoop and Egg Bomb effects are very crucial. In terms of advantages, the BPP lineup works well against AAP, AAB, or even hybrid Aqua lineups, since they take a long time to take down our front and mid lines. This gives more time for a bird damage dealer to quickly burst their backlines, as well as ramp up the energy to do it again in the later rounds. As for disadvantages, our BPP lineup can struggle against Beast users and BMP lineups, as they can quickly take out our double plant front and midline. This leaves our bird completely vulnerable in the later rounds, resulting in easy damage for the enemy comp. Our next featured meta lineup is the BMP or Bird Mech plant with tips shared to us by UGG Coach Ace. This lineup will be composed of a bird backline, a mech midline, and a plant frontline. The backline bird will have skills like Dark Swoop, Blackmail, Egg Bomb, and All-Out Shot. For the midline mech Axie, we're looking at two variants, the pure damage with skills like Hair Dagger, Heroic Reward, Death Mark for the lethal effect, and Sinister Strike for extra damage on critical hits. Another variant for our midline mech will substitute Sinister Strike with Argo for speed and outplay potential instead of damage. Now, our frontline plant Axie will have Vegetal Bite, Cattail, Prickly Trap, and Watering Can for energy gain. Prickly Trap can also be replaced with Wooden Stab, as well as the Watering Can with October Treat to get more shields and tank more damage. To effectively use this lineup, we need to establish early game control using our plant Axie, taking advantage of the energy steal from Vegetal Bite, and use of Cattail to not only build up energy but also draw more cards to prepare for burst attacks using our bird backline. Similar to BPP, we can also use the aroma effect from Egg Bomb to divert enemy damage to our bird Axie while letting our mech deal additional damage against the enemy team. The BMP lineup works best against many Axie team compositions like Double Bug Aqua, Double Anemone, and BBP. Against Double Bug Aqua lineups, we'll usually use the mech to kill the initial bug and shuffle our attacks to go around an aesthetic bait stun using our bird. The Cattail card for our plant also helps prevent any discard effects, and with the use of Watering Can, we can gain more energy from the attacks of the enemy Aqua. When playing against Double Anemone, be sure to reserve your attacks and wait for the enemy to attack first. Dark Swoop combo will allow us to quickly burst the enemy damage dealers, preventing additional heals as well as damage from our mech midline. And while this lineup can deal a lot of damage, it can still struggle against God Reptile lineups and Jumping Poison comps. And finally, our last featured lineup is the most infamous comp in Axie Infinity, Jumping Poison with tips from Coach Ace. For this lineup, we will have a plant frontline and reptile or dusk Axie for both the midline and frontline positions. Our plant Axie will have the skills October Treat, Vegetal Bite, Gas and Leash for the poison effect, and Leaf Bug for more energy. The midline reptile Axies will have key skills like Sneaky Raid for backdoor, Garish Worm for extra poison effects, Cerostes for the damage, and Grass Snake for, well, more poison! The backline dusk or reptile Axies will have almost similar skills, aside from the Winghorn instead of Cerostes to skip the front Axie, and Tiny Turtle instead of Sneaky Raid for stun. To add an extra punch to our attacks, the Garish Worm card can be substituted with Furball instead. The gameplay for this lineup is very straightforward. We want to utilize the poison effects to its maximum potential and use chain combos to stack poison to the enemy team. Just like most frontline Axies, our plant Axie will help control the tempo and pace of the game through energy steals using Vegetal Bite while applying additional poison stacks using Gas and Leash. The Jumping Poison lineup is highly effective against most team comps in Axie Infinity. using the poison stacks to their max potential, as well as our backdoor chain combos, we can either quickly take out the enemy Axies or drag the game out and let the poison do its work. Not a lot of lineups have debuff cards, so there's no way for them to deal with the poison effect. Of course, while it's infamously strong, there are still lineups that counter the jumping poison comp. Lineups with cards like Numbing Decretion and Leak could disable our key cards, and Spiky Wing which renders our shields useless. The BBP lineup can also face our jumping poison comp head-on provided that they have the right cards, as well as the Godmech lineup, which backdoor combos can burst down on reptile mid and back lines. Another team that can counter jumping poison is the PPB or double plant bird lineup due to the fact that two plants are using Bidens. Bidens is the bane of existence of this lineup as Bidens cleanse out the poison counters once used. And these are the recommended meta builds for Season 20. Which lineup will you be going for? We hope that our guide will kickstart your path in building up your rankings and grabbing more SLPs. The United Gamers Guild is also active on social media and on Discord, so be sure to also follow us there and be part of our growing community. Catch you all on our next episode!